I like to tell you the story of the time that I was hit by a train. It's a good icebreaker at parties. So I was 17 and a half, and I'd been out at a friend's house drinking beer. In those days, the drinking age was 18, but you could get served if you looked like you were over 12. And I did, so I had been drinking, as I say, Schaefer cans. Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one. And I had had more than one. I had had 3 or 4, in fact. And 2 or 3 was enough to get me a little tipsy. And so I was feeling pretty good. Back in those days, I had a curfew because I was, 17. I was supposed to be home by 11 o'clock. After I had just finished my 4th or 5th beer, I looked at the clock and saw that it was already 5 after 11. And I was a good 20-minute walk from home. So I thought, oh shit, I gotta go. I made apologies to the guy whose apartment I was at and started to go home. So the apartment was in Roselle Park. I lived in Roselle. Roselle and Roselle Park are 2 small towns, about 20 miles outside New York City, separated from each other by a set of railroad tracks. So the normal way to walk home would be to go over the Walnut Street Bridge from Roselle Park into Roselle, walk along First Avenue, go into my house, go upstairs, try to sneak in. All would be good. Well, I realized that I was late, so I figured rather than go all the way up over the bridge and down again to the other side, I'd save time by cutting through the parking lot between Morley McGovern's Bar and Grill and the railroad tracks. Just walk along the railroad tracks for a while, cut through the factories on First Avenue side, and I'd save a little time. So that's what I did. So I'm walking along the tracks. Now, in those days, there were 4 sets of tracks, 2 going westbound, 2 going eastbound. I was heading in the eastbound direction. Now, the railroad tracks that were closest to the factories were never used, kind of overgrown with bushes and whatnot. So I'm walking along the second rail from the right, eastbound side, and I hear a whistle. I look back and I see, well, there's a train about 500, 700 feet behind me. It was dark, it was late at night, I didn't know. But I was fueled by some of the alcohol, so I'm feeling fairly Supermanish, and I figured, hell with that. I'm just going to keep walking along the tracks. So I continued to walk. I heard another whistle. I thought, wonder if I'm actually on the track that the train is coming. I better get onto this unused track that is never any trains on. So I walk onto the middle of the tracks closest to the factories on First Avenue, and I continue to walk, feeling very Supermanish, faster than a speeding bullet, all that. I heard one more whistle. I thought to myself, probably might be a good idea to get off the tracks completely, just to be safe. So I had my right foot off the tracks, my left foot in the air, and bam! I got smacked from behind. This train came flying in, hit me in the left shoulder, sends me flying along the ground. I'm like 3 feet off the ground, 3 feet away from the wheels of the train. Energy and the suction of the train is keeping me floating. It's kind of like I was a dog. If you ever imagine what a dog must feel like when he's looking out a car window going 50 miles an hour and everything is blowing back and he's just happy as a dog. And that's how I felt. Train slams on its brakes, slows down, and I broke the suction of the train engine that was keeping me levitated along the tracks. And I hit the ground. And I got to my knees and I thought, whoa, I just got hit by a train. And then I thought, whoa, I'm really late. So I got up, I walked across the tracks, I cut through the factories, I crossed this busy street. My arm was killing me at this point. So I sat down, put my head in my hands, and I thought, oh, what am I going to do now? I look up. And I see the neon sign for Morley McGovern's Irish Bar and Grill next to the tracks. The train had spun me around, sent me the wrong way. Now I'm back in Roselle Park. I thought, oh my God, now I'm really late. I start to walk to the Walnut Street Bridge to go over the tracks again. And I think, oh shit, I can't even take the bridge now because now I'll be really late. So I cut through the little alley on the side of the Irish bar. My arm is really killing me at this point. So I sit down on this cinder block near the tracks. I put my head in my hands and I see this guy from the train with one of those lanterns. They're looking for a body, mine or parts of one. And he's coming towards me and I think this is not good. He's going to hold me up even more. So I kind of stand up. He comes up and he says, "Did you just get hit by a train?" And I said, "Oh, hit by a train? What are you, drunk? Get out of here, hit by a train." And I kind of stumble my way across the tracks. I hear him from behind me say, "You all right?" "Yeah, I'm fine. So I cut through the stumble down, cut through the tracks, get onto First Avenue. This cop car comes speeding down along the road. They were looking for a body, mine or parts of one, somewhere way down at the other end of the tracks. So I avoided getting hit by the police car, cut through the streets to my house, and I come to the front door and I start to go inside. And my father was sitting in the kitchen, smoking a cigarette, having a beer. It's what he used to do. He was smoldering. So was his cigarette because I was late. So he takes another drink off of his beer, Schaefer. One beer to have when you're having more than one. He says, "Joe, how come you're so late?" So I kind of went around through the living room to go upstairs because I didn't want to deal with this right now. I said, I don't know, Dad. I lost track of the time, I guess. I continued to walk up the steps. I got about halfway up the steps. He wasn't buying this. He says, "How come you're so late?" I said, at this point, my arm was killing me. I said, "Dad, I think I got hit by a train." "Why are you so late?" he said. I don't think it really registered what I said to him, but it did register to my sister who was in her bedroom. She came out of her bedroom, took one look at me, flipped the lights on and said, "Oh my God, Dad, look at him. He was hit by a train." Now, my father had heard many excuses in his life as to why I was late, but I think I got hit by a train was never one of them. So he immediately leaped into action. He brought me to the family doctor. Family doctor happened to live in Roselle Park. So we got in the car, drove this time over the Walnut Street Bridge to the doctor's house, knocked on the door. It's 11:30 at night. Doctor comes to the door, takes one look at me and says, "What did you bring him in here for? What's going on?" My father says, "I think he was hit by a train." Doctor says, "Hit by... What are you... Take him to the hospital." So they took me to the hospital. Now, the hospital was in Elizabeth. In order to get there, you had to go back over the Walnut Street Bridge. And we're driving along First Avenue, heading towards Elizabeth. Cop cars at the end of the road, looking for a body, mine, parts of one. We got around that roadblock into the hospital. And I guess, to make a long story short, I spent 13 days in the hospital. They couldn't believe that I got hit by a train. My father was really worried that the police would come and give me a ticket for trespassing. That didn't happen. I ended up with a broken elbow, broken shoulder blade, missed my senior exams, still graduated, and had a story to tell as an icebreaker. Now, I apologize if this story was a bit too long. I did get a little sidetracked here and there, and I know that you wanted a story that was comical and make-believe. This might have been comical, but it wasn't make-believe.